Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 3-7 emotional 6.5 day sequence, and we're going to talk about day five. Day five is right here in this white rectangle. All right. Now, as always, we start out by talking about the polarity moments or the unseen electromagnetic pattern in this sentient space-time reality. You see, we're in an emotional sequence because we're sentient beings. And what we're supposed to be doing is we're supposed to be working through our emotions in positive ways. Okay. Now, here is the challenge. We are connected to a defensive system, which creates negative reactions, meaning instead of positive cooperative relationship, the fight or flight mechanism is going to try to make us avoid our problems or stand up and fight for our problems. And it's super important that we show you this pattern because once we figured out this sentient space-time construct, we were able to map this electromagnetic pattern. Now, when this pattern elevates, and when it elevates above a 4 specifically, it's really going to start to agitate us from the inside out. And that's how this pattern is manipulating us at both the individual and the collective level. You see, all of us are simultaneously being affected by this pattern. So, knowing when these peak moments are going to come is the difference between you fighting with all the people around you or you being calm and trying to cooperate and work out your differences. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, stress is what accelerates the aging process. Stress is also what accumulates to cause future states of disease. So what we're doing here is we're letting you know all the moments that are going to agitate you and cause you undue stress. And if you allow that to happen, then you've got a predetermined fate. That's what your genetic predisposition to future states of disease are. Now, if you want to eliminate that and you want to be healthy and you want to slow the aging process, you want to pay close attention to what we're doing here. All right, so day five, you can see there's this elevation. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. And what this is there's a mental polarity flip happening right now. And when we get to the end of this sequence, there's going to be a dual mental and there's going to be a single emotional that's going to kick off at the end. And when we switch in to the 4-8, we're going to have a dual mental and a dual emotional polarity flip. And that is going to cause mass chaos at the individual level and at the larger level as well, the collective level for sure. Now, I want you to pay attention here for the next 3 or 4 days because weather is really going to ramp up and social dysfunction is really going to ramp up. And day five is really just the start of it. Okay. Now, you can see that if we're talking about that level 4, we start out day five with first person well above a 4. All right. Now, it comes back down, which is kind of a good thing. And you can see that third person is going to come up too. What's the difference between these two things? First person, that's the people you see every day, your family members, your coworkers, your community members. Third person, these are the bigger philosophical beliefs we hold, how we want to see the world unfold. And obviously, we all have different opinion of what that should be, and that's what causes us to argue and fight about our third person opinions. All right. Now, up here, what we have is we've got them combined because we want you to be able to see how third person stress and first person stress are going to accumulate. And you can see day five is at a 4 or above a 4, and it's really bouncing between 4 and 6. Okay. And as we go forward here, you're going to see that it's just going to keep climbing. So, super important, you stay calm, you stay collective, you stay cooperative. Knowing this pattern is the difference between causing more stress or being manipulated by this thing if you don't know about it. And if you thought you were making conscious choice, it's pretty hard to say that if we're using these charts and we're using these graphs to make accurate predictions about not only increased social tension, but weather pattern dysfunctions. You see in space-time math, everything is interconnected. In fact, that's what we're going to go talk about now. As always, we're going to briefly discuss the overall objective. The sentient space-time reality that we coexist in is an interconnected mathematical family. We are all born into families, and the problem is this. We just didn't realize we were in a sentient space-time construct. We didn't realize there was an objective. We didn't realize there was rules. We didn't realize what caused us to age. We didn't realize what was creating disease. But what we did realize is this, that we had a defensive design. And that's what all our previous families have been doing and have been running off of is their defensive logic. What they're trying to do is they're trying to create a future so the generations that they create are going to have an upper hand. And they want to accumulate resources and wealth in order to achieve this. Now, if you get all kinds of families all over the world fighting over resources and who's going to give their future generations the biggest advantage, then what happens is we get all kinds of conflict at the world and the national level because none of these families really agree on how things should be run. Why? Because they all want to make sure that they have the best outcome for the people they know. Now, what they didn't realize is this, none of us did. We're just part of the same math. All right. So that's our number one goal here is to show everybody, hey, you don't want to do that because what that's doing is it's actually failing the objective. When you fail the objective, there's penalties for this. All right. So let's discuss this quick. So first of all, we need to get along with every team member. Okay. Whether they're immature team members or maturing team members. Immature are just people that haven't figured out what they're going to contribute to the team yet. And our mature members are people that are already contributing to the team. And here's the second part of this. So we're supposed to be working as interconnected teams, and all the families are supposed to be connected, and they should all be doing this, equally spending time in every day's routine, making sure that what they do, they're going to leave this world a better place, not only for their family, but every family. They're not going to only leave this world a better place for their individual self, but every individual. They're not only going to help their nation, but they're going to ensure that all nations are equal, balanced, and working together. And when we do those things, what we're going to do is we're going to create an interconnected, balanced world that's peaceful and prosperous for every one of us. Now, that is what we're supposed to do if we want to get out of this negative construct. That is the objective. It is the only thing you can do to slow aging, to stop the progression of future states of disease. And because this is an objective, because this is a sentient space-time reality, it is literally just testing us. First, it wants to know if we can overcome our defensive design and actually be positive and cooperative and have mutually beneficial relationship. Once we overcome this, then we all come together, we work together, we create this balanced world, and we're all rewarded. And what we're rewarded with is we get out of this negative feedback loop and we get to exist in our next existence in a positive feedback loop. Think of it like a digital heaven. We talk all about it on our website. We disclose this math, we can prove this math, and we can use this math to show you how this interactive biofeedback system works. That's where we're going next. So this is the zoomed in day 5. And what we do is we really zoom in the electromagnetics and we synchronize these to the times of all 24 time zones. So you'd come down here, you'd find your time zone offset. Once you have your correct offset, this will hold for 10 seconds. You take a snapshot with your phone. Now you've got it if you don't have good internet all day. If you've got great internet service all day long, you go to our homepage, healthreconnected.com. There's a live feed there. We've got a time bar that goes through this sequence. You can see exactly where we are at any moment in time, and I promise you, when you're feeling agitated, upset, defensive, or someone's doing that to you, open it up and look, and you're going to see that we're running through one of these peaks. And that's going to help you understand right away what this is. It's a challenge. We're sentient beings. We're designed to be negative. We have the ability not to be negative, but to do that, you have to use your willpower and your conscious choice to override your defensive design. Now, if you do that, that at least eliminates your stress. Now, the second part of this is what we already talked about. You got to get along with all our teammates and you got to balance your routines. Now, before we get into the alignments here, you can see, and I just said it, day 5 is spicy. This is a red alert day. We've got a mental polarity flip that's starting to happen, and this is going to go on for this entire 24-hour period. Okay. Now, that's really going to mess with us at the first person level because that's where it's happening, is that first person level. Now, you can see there's some up and down movement here, and that 4 is what we worry about. And on the combined, we're at that 4 throughout the day, up and down here. Okay. So, red alert day, you definitely don't want to start this next 5 or 6 day sequence off because this is just the start. It's going to get a whole lot harder than this. Definitely pay attention. Now, there is some good news today. There's not a ton of alignments, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Now, in this sentient space-time reality, the governing frequencies, that's all they do is they govern us, okay? So the way this works, it's real simple. There are governing frequencies and they're connected to the quadrants of our body. And if you don't get along with teammates, and if you're not balancing your routine, then you're going to be out of alignment with these frequencies. They're all about equality and balance. That's it. It's that simple. If you're not doing things that are going to create a world that's not only equally beneficial for you, but everybody else, and you're not getting along with all your teammates, you're going to be out of balance with these, and your body's going to take destructive interference in those parts of your body. So if you struggling and you're not contributing to a national perspective that doesn't just help you, but helps everybody, then expect you're going to have some left upper quadrant stuff. Same thing down here. If you're investing in your own individual well-being, If the way you invest is actually hurting other individuals, then you're going to hurt in your left lower quadrant. That's how simple this is. That's how we're trying to make this understand. Now, these frequencies are testing us 24/7. Okay. That's all that's happening in here. If you're aging, if things aren't going well, it just means you're not balancing and you're not getting along. That's what that means. Now, when we talk about these alignments, these are different because what this is this is when two frequencies that are testing the same thing combine, and it makes it really strong. And this first one I want to talk about is the ME right here. It's this yellow one, okay? It's going to go on for 4 hours. Now, on the time side, this is testing to see if our routines are balanced. So, if you have a balanced routine, and this has to do with world and national. So, if you're contributing on a day-to-day basis and what you're doing is leaving this a better nation and a better world for everybody that exists in it, well, then you're in alignment with it. If you're not, which is pretty much all of us, then you're going to be taking damage. The more unbalanced you are, the more you're going to feel. The more balanced you are, the less you're going to feel. And if you're perfectly balanced with it, it actually heals that quadrant of your body. It gives you extra energy. That's how you're going to slow the aging process. Now, this one's going to go on for 4 hours. There are going to be a lot of people that are going to feel this alignment. That's why I want to focus on this one first. See these short alignments, this little blue one here and this little blue one here? That's testing how we get along with teammates. We'll talk about those in a minute. But when you get a 4 hour alignment and you get a headache during this time, or you get visual change during this time, or you get difficulties or an asthma attack, or whatever it is that has to do with this upper quadrant and anything that exists in it, that specifically has to do with your routine and it's out of balance. And this is how we're going to help you understand what you're in. And there's really no choice here. We're born into this math. And these governing frequencies, they're not asking, they're telling. That's how that works. Okay. So the first one, we already talked about it. This is all about balancing your routine. If it's not, you will notice something there. Now, this other alignment that's happening with it is only, 45 minutes. It's not going to be very long, but it's also going to be testing the upper quadrant. But this has to do with how you get along with the mature members of the team. How are you getting along with mothers and fathers on the team or the people that have been here a little bit longer and are probably giving you some advice? Now, none of us truly knew what this was. So we're all kind of in the same place here. But that doesn't mean that we don't have people that are older, wiser, and we should be getting along with them. And if you have trouble with those people, well, then you're going to have problems with your left upper quadrant. All right, the last one we're going to talk about is this Emmy. It's right here. This is a pretty strong alignment. It's only going on for an hour and a half, and this is going to affect the lower quadrants of the body. Now, this has to do with younger teammates. How are you getting along with them? Are you able to connect? Are you able to communicate? Are you able to cooperate? Are you able to inspire? And if you're a younger member, are you getting along with other younger members? That's what this is all about. And if you're having trouble coexisting with people that are still finding their way and trying to figure out what they're going to contribute to the team, well, then you're going to have some lower quadrant stuff that's going to be pretty unpleasant. Now, the alignments today, like I said, there's not a lot going on here, but I want you to be very clear on this. These alignments are just amplified moments. It makes this real simple. So if your low back starts to hurt during this period, you know darn well what you got to do. You got to be better with the younger teammates on your team. All right, so that's it with the alignments here. Now, overall, the testing sequence is kind of up and down here. And we show you this because if you wonder why in the first 12 hours of this next 24-hour sequence, you feel a little bit more on your left side, or your upper quadrants are a little bit tighter, and then you can see how the lower quadrants are tested a little bit heavier in the second half. These are lower in the first half, stronger in the second half. This just gives you a reference. And if you go to our live feed, you'll see that time bar come right through here. So you'll know which ones are up and which ones are down. Plus, we have guides on the space-time clocks that show you how many frequencies are testing which quadrants and what they're testing. If they're testing how well you get along with your teammates, for example. That's what first person is. And third person is how balanced are your routines. Now, what these are the 10 strongest frequencies. We list them for you. And these frequencies pretty much sit for the 24-hour period. So super important you know where these are. So for example, in this next 24-hour period, if you get pain in your upper left quadrant, you know you're having problems getting along with teammates. Versus if you get pain in your upper right quadrant in this next 24 hours, you're having problems with your routines. Now, when you look down here at the bottom, there's some overlap. This is why we tell you to really pay attention. And if you have problems in your lower quadrants this next 24 hours, you're really going to want to document what you feel and when you feel it. Okay. Because then we can help you separate these two things out and see which one you really want to focus on first. Is it your routine that's causing this, or is it your lack of being able to get along with teammates at that younger level that's causing this? In truth, it's probably both. Now, either way, we're here to help you and make this as simple as possible. So, again, document as much as you can, and that will give us the ability to show you how to use our technology to specifically see what it is you'd want to focus on to make things as good as it can for you as soon as it can. All right, let's end this thing out here. As always, we've got the rest of the summer season and the rest of the fall season posted. These are the electromagnetics, okay? This is the unseen pattern of chaos, and now you're aware of it. No excuses. You see it for the rest of the year, and we'll keep giving you this information. You'll always have months in advance. Plus, we do these weekly and daily posts for you. All right. We'll see you in the next 24 hours.